Hey, Happy New Year. This is my first video of 2023, and I'm glad to see you in this year. I'm excited about all the things that this year may have coming up, but especially some of the things I have coming up for you who watch my videos and follow me. So stay tuned. But in this video, particularly for this one, I wanted to respond to some questions I got. I did a online course workshop with alternatives in the UK on New Year's Eve and also on the first weekend of this year. And there were several questions from some of the attendees that were submitted, and I couldn't get to all of them during the online course. And I made a promise I'd answer some of those questions through video. And so this is what I want to do. I'm going to answer one of the questions in this video, and these questions are so juicy and will help you. Even if you didn't attend the course, these questions will definitely help you. Well, my response to them will help you. So here we go. First question. You said we are here to expand the frequency of love. Why then do we see, especially amongst older people, so much sickness and disease? Is this just related to perception and how the body is reflecting and embodying the consciousness of love? So here's the thing. We are either holding a chronic perception of ourselves and of our lives that is in alignment with the frequency of love, or it's out of alignment with it and it becomes some type of distortion of love. And the health of our body will always reflect this perception, whether this is a perception that is in alignment with love, and the perception that is in alignment with love always manifests a body that is healthy, always manifests a body that operates and functions well. But if we have a perception that is a distortion of love some type of way, then that perception is going to manifest a health state in our bodies that is going to be a distortion of love. It's going to be something, instead of something that makes us feel free, it's going to be something that makes us feel restricted and in bondage. For something that makes us feel at peace, it's going to be something that makes us feel stressed, something that makes us feel, instead of something that makes us feel empowered and blissful, it's going to be something that makes us feel frustrated and disempowered. The body is always only a reflection of the perception that we have about ourselves and that we have about our world. And when that perception is in alignment with love, the body will be a reflection of health. But when it's not, it's going to be a reflection of illness in some type of way. And that's really what it is. So the body is always reflecting back to us our perception, and perception is basically what we believe about ourselves and our world and how we feel about ourselves and our world. And if that perception makes us feel good, then we'll have a body that feels good. But if that perception makes us feel bad, it makes us feel shame or stress or fear or restriction, we'll have a body that reflects that. That's how this world works, and how manifestation works, and how the health of the body works in this reality, especially as soul beings having human experiences. But there's one thing I don't talk about a lot. I probably haven't done a lot of videos about this yet, is that sometimes we manifest disease or some type of life-threatening illness as an exit strategy, as a way to give us a way out of this life experience for us, like a transition strategy. Now, I want to say a way out, but like a transition strategy. We manifest an illness to give ourselves a way to transition from this life into the next life, into the other side. And we use illness or disease a lot of times, especially this is because the question was specifically asking about why we see so much illness in older people and disease in older people, and instead of really people just kind of going to sleep and transitioning in a very peaceful manner. A lot of times when we get older, we have families, we have friends, we have a lot of people that we care about. And a lot of times, if we perceive that those people will have a hard time with our death, right? If we perceive that those people would have a hard time understanding it or processing it or dealing with it if we died very suddenly. Like if one day we were just healthy and well and happy, and then we went to sleep that night and then we exited, right? If we think that the people in our inner circle would not deal with that well, and particularly looking at this from our soul's perspective, if our soul views that the people in our lives won't deal with this well, oftentimes we will manifest a disease for ourselves, and it's really for them. It's for our loved ones, because that disease does not just take us immediately. It takes us in we don't die immediately. We die over in a slower amount of time, so that our loved ones, the people we care about in our circle, has time to process the fact that we are dying and that our death is going to come sometime soon, so that they can mentally and emotionally prepare themselves for it, instead of it being some type of sudden event that takes them by surprise and it kind of basically rips the floor from beneath them. And so a lot of times souls will manifest diseases for themselves to give their loved ones time so that they can get their affairs in order. They can get their emotional and mental affairs in order, but also sometimes the financial affairs. There's a lot of things sometimes wrapped up in a loved one's death that people have. They need to get wills in order. They need to get stuff like that. And so a lot of times, if a soul perceives that the loved ones around them will not be able to handle if they die a very quick or silent or even very peaceful death. And a lot of times, even the disease, when we manifest it like that, does not cause as much suffering for that soul as it does for somebody who is manifesting a disease because they are disconnected from their soul's energy, right? They're not really ready to die. It's not their time to die, but they're so disconnected from their soul's energy that their body doesn't have the fuel that it needs to remain healthy. That person suffers a lot more than the person that has manifested a disease, because they are actually ready to exit this life experience. And they're doing this as a way to serve not just that exit, but to serve the emotional state and the mental state of of their loved ones around them. And I see this a lot. So it gives the disease, especially in older people who are, 70, 80, 90, it gives their loved ones, their children, their spouse, their grandchildren, their best friends, it gives them time to say, oh, I need to prepare for this person's death. This person will not be here for a while. This person is getting ready to leave. And it gives them time, even though the death, it will still be processed as a loss and there'll still be pain there. There won't be such a deep, shocking, suffering pain that happens when someone dies and you don't understand why. Like a lot of times we think we want to go in our sleep, which is absolutely a way that we have all control of that. But a lot of times that we also take into account, how is this going to affect our loved ones? How is this going to affect our children if they weren't expecting us to go and all of a sudden we went? How is this going to affect our spouse? And sometimes that is completely okay. Like the soul knows that the spouse or the children or the loved ones can handle a sudden death, and that actually this sudden death will serve their expansion in some type of way, their own soul's expansion in their lifetime, some type of way. But a lot of times, if we see, because the soul can see all, it can see all possibilities. It can see all possibilities. So if this one possibility that if we die in a sudden way, overnight in our sleep or something like that, if the soul views it and it sees that this will cause a dramatic shock to my loved ones, and this would, instead of serving and enhancing their expansion in some way, it will diminish it, it may halt it, it may cause them to lose connection with their own soul, their own higher self, then the soul will say, well, let me do something that will keep that from happening. And if I create a disease for myself and I die slower, and I give them time, then this will not affect them as negatively. So that's another reason why we see disease so prevalent sometimes in older people, is because they're manifesting it to give their loved ones some time. But in younger people, the reason why we have disease and we manifest it almost always is because we have been holding an internal frequency that is out of alignment with the frequency of our soul, which is a very high frequency, which is the frequency of love. And the body was created to house the high frequency of the soul. It was created to house the high frequency of love. So when that frequency is not present in the body starts to break down because it doesn't have the fuel it needs to run at its best. So I hope that answers, I hope that gives you some answer to your question. If you think this will also help someone else you know, please feel free to share this. Please like it. Please leave a comment below with any aha you have. And I'll see you in the next video with response to the next question. Much love.